Dive into the heart of Cleveland's business community with the Cleveland Burning Podcast. Join me, Kim Kitchen, owner of Burning River Marketing, and Kirk Teets, owner of Cleveland Custom Coatings, as we explore the untold stories of local business owners. In this engaging series, we focus on the setbacks, accidents, and unexpected turns that pave the way for ultimate success. So just like the Cuyahoga River ignited change in the city, our podcast showcases how adversity can spark innovation and growth. Hear from passionate entrepreneurs who have braved the flames of failure and emerged stronger and more resilient. Get ready for candid conversations and a behind-the-scenes look at the business landscape in Cleveland. What's up, Kirk?
You know, the same thing. You're never going to believe what happened yesterday. I was actually I was on my way to the store, and I saw three masked men. They attacked a man.
No way.
I couldn't take it. I had to step in. I'll tell you something, that poor old man didn't stand a chance against the four of us.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, welcome to the Cleveland Burning Podcast, where we uncover stories from local professionals who've braved the flames of adversity and turned them into success. I'm your host, Kim Kitchen.
And I'm your other host, Kirk Teets. And today we're interviewing Greg Snyder from Royalty Roofing.
I get to introduce Greg. So I met Greg through our BNI chapter, which is a chapter of local business professionals. He was a visitor of Rosa's, I believe.
Rosa, yep.
Rosa Fleming. Shout out to Rosa, Win Home Inspection.
Yep.
And
she's the reason I'm there.
Yep. And we had just lost our roofer. Our previous roofer had retired, and he really stayed mostly local. So Rosa was a little excited when the opportunity came to introduce. She always said that you were like the Win Home Inspection of like roofing.
Okay.
You guys go everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a big area. You do more than just, what our previous roofer did. So I think she was very excited, and I was not so excited because I'm like, this guy is coming from, for some reason, I did my research before you got there, and it said Canton, right?
It's Canton.
And I'm like, what? This guy's not going to come from Canton every week? Like, so I still, for years, I just realized he's from Brimfield. Now I can say that. But for the longest time, I was like, aren't you from Canton? But you do travel quite a ways to that BNI meeting every
55
week.
minutes.
That's nuts. Yeah. I still think that's nuts.
It's been great for business. So
yeah.
It's been great to meet everybody, help their businesses.
Yeah. So now, how long have you been with Royalty Roofing?
This is probably started my 6th year, coming on 6 years. So
okay.
I guess I could have said 5.
Yeah, he's 5. Well,
6 sounds better.
But it's like when you're young and you're like, well, I'm 11 going on 12.
Right. I'm not young. I'm not young though, Kim.
You're 5 going on 6. So almost 6 years with Royalty Roofing. And I know you guys have actually used BNI as part of your business development. You're the business development director,
manager. Director. It's a title.
You
I feel
also
unworthy most days.
Yeah, you also seem to be like you're the face on a lot of the social media. I know I follow you guys on Instagram and Facebook, and it's usually you on a roof or you showing a picture of something horrible that somebody else did on a roof.
Some of that.
Royalty Roofing is you've got to follow Royalty Roofing on all of the different things. You do a TikTok too?
TikTok, yeah. I manage the social media too, so
okay.
I do that. So
that's all part of business development. Is that working well for you guys? So
it is.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, hitting all the ways you market to people.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
And even recruiting. I mean, I know you've had a lot of people that just through them following you on social media, you get like this really cool vibe about Royalty Roofing. And then they come to you and say like, do you guys have any positions? Because I just kind of like am in alignment with how you guys run your company and what your culture is.
Yep.
So that's a whole nother
Our whole marketing team really came from that.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of us at this point. We're hoping to have 7 or 8 next year. So
super cool. Well, I'm impressed.
I'd like to jump in and say you got a perfect personality for it. When I came to the BNI group, was right when you were taking over as president, and your personality, the type of person that you are, really helped me want to join the group. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think you got a great personality to go out there and kind of wrangle people up for the company and stuff. It's a great match for your personality.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's true. When Greg was one of his first few meetings, his shirt was inside out.
Okay,
and
this gets told. Okay, Kim.
And he stood up there, and I think he must have realized that we all go in this meeting. Yeah. We go around and we say, this is what I do for business, and this is a good referral for me. And there's almost 40 of us in the room, so I think you must have realized after 5 or 6 people had already gone, because by the time you stood up, it was too late, and you were like,
too late.
yeah.
It would have been Greg looks rude going to the bathroom to change his shirt
in the middle of everyone else's commercial,
or
so
just kind of
you just owned it. You owned it.
We
Yeah.
owned it.
You're like, so today my shirt is inside out. And I just realized, and everyone just loved that, because it's just, so you're very professional, but you're also super approachable, and you're just genuine and authentic. And I think that's who you want to do business with.
Yeah. Thank you,
know?
Kim.
Yeah.
This
so
is
I
nice.
appreciate that.
This is like, I don't
The
get
love.
this. I'm going to come to do this every day.
Yeah. Well,
All the
we're going
love
to talk
from
about your
both sides
failures
here.
soon.
Oh,
we're going to
okay,
try to
failures.
beat you up. Yeah.
Okay. Beat me up.
But first, tell us a little bit about Royalty Roofing.
So Royalty Roofing, we're residential, commercial. We do roofing. We do obviously siding, gutters, windows, doors, all those things, really anything on the exterior. So it's a great company. I met the owner at a golf outing, chatted it up, and a few months later I was working for him. So
Cool.
yeah, I was looking for an opportunity, and sometimes opportunity finds you if you're in the right places. And I think that's why, like what I do, referrals and meeting people, like you don't know who you're meeting.
Right.
And who this, a podcast like this, who this touches, right? And as this grows and as you guys grow and you grow your sphere, like you just don't know. So I feel like my life's been a lot of that, just taking chances, meeting new people, and then like kind of stepping off and just kind of in faith.
Yeah, that's cool. So how would you, like, if somebody were to say, how big is Royalty Roofing? Like, well, how would you even answer that question? And millions of dollars of business, or a number of people on the staff? Or
I don't know the number of people.
Okay.
I remember looking last year at Christmas thinking, wow, like we had the whole floor of this golf place. And like, years before, I remember, when it was smaller. So when I started, it was a $3 million company, and this year we're going to break 20 million. So
Holy
Wow.
moly.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So
In
5
less
years.
than 6 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
And you're the business development manager. I mean,
know,
that
for
seems
the
like
last
there's a
couple years.
correlation
Well,
there.
it could be. I think I have a part in it. Obviously, the owner, the president, like they've done a great job, fostering the culture and really, I think, attracting good people. I think good people attract good people, or I think even businesses that somehow, I don't know, like they just find talent. Talent finds them, and those people can thrive in those I don't know, in those companies, in those organizations, and just do well.
I believe wholeheartedly that starts from the top, Greg. When the owner does things a certain way, the culture will follow that. So it gives a good testament to the owner of the company as well.
For sure.
I'm thinking we need to start changing the theme of this podcast, because this is like the 5th or 6th episode where the business professionals are saying it's all about their people. It's all about their people. I mean, we want to talk about failures too, because we do want to give people confidence that if they are struggling with something now, that's likely just going to contribute to their success eventually. Right. But all these business owners, all these business professionals are saying it's the crew, it's the people, it's finding the right people with the right mindset, and that's how you build your business.
So it's a team.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you agree with that? I mean,
yeah.
It's a team.
I think you guys were talking about on another podcast you did that customers are number one, and I've always like kind of cringed at that, because I'm thinking if your people feel good about themselves, then they're going to give the customers a great experience.
They're going to do good work.
Yeah, and otherwise, if the culture is bad and from the top it's bad, it's like, well, we want our customers to be satisfied. Why aren't you giving a great experience? Well, maybe because people aren't happy. So if people are happy and they're excited about what they're doing and helping other people, they're going to give a great experience, right? So I agree with what you guys were saying the other day. Like, I was like, yeah, preach it. It was good. I liked it.
It's a tough sell sometimes to try to tell somebody customer is not necessarily number one, but in the end, it does make the customer number one because of the experience they get from a happy employee.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get the nitty gritty. We want to hear about your failures. This theme right now, the podcast is themes about failures. Times you thought you were in the middle of a dumpster fire, but they actually turned into something that brought you success eventually. So you got any good stories for us?
So I would say the story, I think probably biggest failure, or one of them, and there's probably many more ahead. I was a commercial, not painter. I was in the painters union for 15 years, and I did drywall. And then in 08, 09, I was, from 18 to whatever, 15 years, I'm terrible at math, whatever that number is, to 08, 09, when everything kind of crashed and everything, I got laid off from a job I had for almost 15 years. And then really with that, what was going on and what I knew at the time, I became a sub of the guy I used to work for that just laid me off.
Okay.
And the economy, I don't know if you guys remember.
I do. Yeah, I was in the mortgage industry. That was the year of my divorce and a lot of other things.
So it was a bad year for a lot of people. But yeah, it's like, so I lost my job, and that was like, I had the security. I had worked steady for years. I was, one of their main guys, a foreman, and there was just no more work. Dried up. We were doing Crocker Park. right down the road.
Oh.
So yeah, it just dried up, and so I became a sub and ran my own business for almost 2 years, subbing work off of some general contractors, and it was awful.
It was awful.
The 1 year, I think, after we paid employees and all that, I think I made $22,000 for the family of 3. I don't know how we did it. I don't know.
And they were young then.
They were young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not cheaper now, but
No.
when they're young, they're certainly not cheap. But yeah,
Sure.
it was rough. And at the end of it, the union wanted to sue me because they thought I owed more money. And there's a whole big story about that. But a neighbor across the street who was a lawyer who I didn't have a great attitude towards and kind of talked bad about. And I think that's where my life changed as far as not talking bad about people because you don't know their story. He helped us out with a letter that kind of scared them a little bit, and they kind of went away, and I was able to restart. And that's when I got into home inspections.
Was that the local 707?
It was, I don't remember. I probably shouldn't say. It was in Akron.
Yeah.
Familiar.
I feel like you do remember.
I don't, yeah, I'm blanking.
You went, I don't remember. I probably shouldn't say they were in Akron. Haha.
Yeah. So I basically had to reinvent myself or figure out, I didn't know what was up.
Right.
So when you're good at something, you take pride in what you do. I know, you guys as painters, and I know you guys fix walls and do all kind of things and spray ceilings, and it's like when that's gone and it's taken from you, it's like part of your identity.
Absolutely.
And it's gone. It's like, okay, well, what's next? And that was kind of scary.
That's so crazy. I never knew. In 2008, I went through all that stuff in the mortgage industry. I also lost my job at AmeriQuest Mortgage Company. I was like an area manager. Yeah. And it hits you hard. You're like, they took my BlackBerry, at the time we called them crackberries, and I couldn't even call my, at the time, husband to tell him that I just lost my job because I didn't have a phone. I mean, it was just like, but then it does change you and makes you realize that at any point in time, things could just be upside down. Yep. But you are who, the confidence is inside of you. Like, that's really what makes you, how you react. What's the saying about, it's like, life is...
a box of chocolates? No. We go that one? I have no idea.
1% of what happens to you and 99% of how you react to it. As you guys heard that one?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Absolutely. You're right. Yeah.
All right. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I mean, there's...
all that stuff. We can just turn this into a bunch of sayings if you want.
I'm sure we'd gain a lot of listeners. So, Kirk, follow up.
So, Greg, how did you find the path to get to where you're at now? Is it something that, that through that losing your job and trying it on your own, gaining any experience trying to sell your company to build up to the point where you're able to sell for Royalty Roofing? How do you think you got that?
Well, at the end of my drywall company, I mean, there was not much to sell. It was a gang box and some tools. Like there's not much left. There was no money.
What is a gang box? You guys use all these.
A gang box is where the tool you put all your tools in at the end of the day or the end of the night. You open it up in the morning and all your stuff's there. So you don't have to
box.
It's a big toolbox.
Big toolbox.
Okay.
And you keep on the job site. You take it with you to the next job. So yeah, there wasn't much to sell. So I did a little bit of residential on my own. Worked on some churches and some things with painting and drywall, and then. Through a friend of mine through high school who I reconnected with. We're actually going to dinner with tonight. He's become a very, very good friend. I got introduced to a gentleman that I became a home inspector. So I really so it's not, I wouldn't say it's my path that I chose. Like, I'm going to be a home inspector now. Like, it kind of found me, and I just well, okay.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah, wasn't like there's a million options unless I wanted to stay doing what I was doing. And I felt like, you ever just feel like you could still do it? I can still paint and do drywall, and there's nothing wrong with it. I still remember how to do it. I did it the other day, right?
Right.
It's just, I just felt like it was time for something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I did that for almost 5 years, met a ton of realtors, which I think kind of leads me to where I'm at now with Royalty Roofing. I was very known and I would say liked and respected and trusted in that field. And when I switched, and home inspections was great,
right?
But it just was nowhere to go financially.
It's hard to scale. I mean, unless
I was working for someone.
Okay.
So it wasn't my own business. I was working for someone, wonderful person, still a very good friend. We go on vacation together here and there. But it's just there's nowhere to go, I felt like. So I met Jason, the owner of Royalty, at a golf outing, and kind of the rest is history. And so it's like I realized that I think you don't have to be a salesperson to sell.
Right.
You can just really just be a guide, be a trusted guide, be an advisor, be someone that's just giving someone options and opinions, and honestly, not trying to sell them something. And I feel like it translated to for me, like I was in my, early 40s until I really made good money in my
Right.
eyes.
Right.
And I was one of their top salespeople. I was the top salespeople for almost 3 years.
At Royalty?
And now the last 2 years has been business development, basically taking the connections I have and kind of just, giving them away really, and kind of growing the team and helping the team do that too.
Yeah, so I know Rachel, who's with Royalty in another BNI chapter, she has a QR code or something that she asked for us to scan so that it kind of registers her as like the salesperson. And I was wondering, like, well, should I have Greg? Do you have a QR code?
I do.
Greg?
I don't talk about it. I've not really talked about it, but it's just basically it's an app. You can put me in as your person. Anything that would come through the app as a referral. It's called Get the Referral. It's an app.
Okay.
So it's a referral app that you can either sign up. You can get paid for your referrals, or if your business doesn't allow it, just allows us to track. So who's giving us referrals? Oh
wow!
It's just a nice way to.
You guys have a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah,
we
try
technology a lot.
Yes, something I really like about Royalty, the owners and the CEO. Like I think really they try stuff.
They're like early adopters of new stuff.
Correct. And some of the stuff we're doing, I know it's probably not new, but the ways we're marketing to like insurance agents, like there's no other roofers doing what we're doing in this area. So we're trying to always innovate, and I feel like do things right and try. Sometimes you try, sometimes you whiff.
Right.
Like I like the app, but I think there's limitations to it, but we also use it.
I like that's cool. You don't normally associate like a roofing company with like, being early adopters of technology, especially for business development.
Yeah.
So
I know you're out there a lot. You do a lot with the realtors. You're very involved in the BNI. Did it take you a while to become comfortable putting yourself out there like that? Is that something you felt like you had to go out of your comfort zone, or were you always comfortable being that kind of?
No, not always comfortable. I am a
Really?
natural introvert, which people that.
What?
You knew that.
You're such a liar.
I told you that before. But I'm a natural introvert, so I'd be fine to be kind of just put me away in the woods somewhere in a little cabin, and I'll be fine.
Sure.
But I also enjoy people. I don't get charged by big groups like these things I enjoy, like the one-to-ones, like getting together and meeting people and getting to know someone personally. But send me to like a party and like go network. It's like I can do it and I'll do a good job, but I will be exhausted afterwards.
Right.
So like when I first came to BNI, like the first 15 minutes of the meeting, it's like a room full of 40 people, like, hey, come here. It's like, and it's early in the morning.
A little overwhelming.
It was a little overwhelming, but then I get used to it. I think it used to be a weakness. I used to be scared to death to speak in front of people, and I do that a lot too. I do a lot of classes and teaching, trainings and things like that. And then it was probably the worst thing that I did in life. I was terrible at it, and now it became a strength. So it's like I think I'm a testament to you can get better. Like weaknesses can become strengths. I'm not saying everything. I mean, there's things I'm going to suck at till I die, but
like what?
Like what?
Like
I don't know a lot of stuff, Kim. She's getting personal over here.
I want to know what you're going to suck at until you die.
I'll think about it. There's a lot.
I don't think that's part of this podcast.
Okay, that would be a good podcast.
Yeah. What are you going to suck at till you die?
I know mine.
Go.
Go ahead, since you're putting it out there.
For me, it's the filter. Like I have such a hard time. Like I have a thought, and I know that you're supposed to go through a filter to make sure the person receiving the thought in your mind is well intentioned.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like I don't like there's holes in that filter or something, and then I have to do like some cleanup. They're like, I'm sorry that got through the filter. This is what I really meant. You know what I mean?
How about you, Kirk?
No, I'm pretty reserved. I'm usually pretty. That's not true at all. I probably say a lot of things that I didn't. And if you think it's shocking the things I do say, you should see all the things that I say no to that don't make its way out.
So you have a filter, and it's still going through, and it's making it on the other side.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. Well, Greg, we usually like to leave the podcast with a final note of something you might want to promote about your business or about you. Is there something going on that's like fun and exciting that you want to talk about?
Fun and exciting. I'm working on a little project. Nothing to compete with Royalty Roofing, certainly, and the owner knows about it. But it's called No Alumni, and basically I'll be quick. It's an origin. Let me give an origin story.
We could do like
real quick.
5-hour podcast on this.
A real quick origin story will explain it, because I'm not even good at so talk about a failure. Maybe this is going to be one. I'm not even really good at talking about it yet. But I'll give you my origin story and the reason it exists. I was a year or two after high school, ran into people from high school at a store. And usually because of the introvert, I would go this way, go this aisle, and then just try to leave the store so I don't run into them. But I ran into them, right? And they were talking about what they're doing. They're all going to college and whatever. Right. And I was not. So it got to the time where it's Snyder, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm working in the trades. I do painting and drywall and things like that. And you ever have like an insecurity? Like you got like maybe you got a mole in your face and you just hope no one ever mentions it or talks about it. When they do, or they laugh at you, you're like, oh, it's like the worst thing ever. So I was already, what's the word? Kind of self-conscious about not going to college and kind of ashamed. So when I said it, they all laughed at me in the middle of a store, and you kind of want to shrink and kind of slide under the, the shelf. And I don't feel like people should feel that way. People that don't choose a traditional college route. I feel like people should take pride in whatever their journey is, whether it's I'm going to go work as a janitor and stay there till I'm 80. Awesome. We need those amazing people. Or it's you start out like with me. I start out, going to get, walk a mile to get buckets of water, bring it back for the journeyman. And then, hey, we need more water. Go get big, like hard work. Right.
Yeah.
So starting from there and then where I'm at now, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere special, but I have a marketing job. And I never went to school for marketing.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess that's not a really good answer. But in a long story, it's an organization. It's going to be, I think it's a brand that's going to promote and give people pride back and celebrate people like you said. Someone on your podcast, you guys said this morning. His name is Nolan.
He doesn't want to go to school.
He's 16 years old and he's killing it. Like he's going to be something we're going to feature. He's going to be probably our first video on social media. So we want kids to see that it's possible to do a lot, and you don't have, it's not anti-college, because I think college is good for the right people and for the right jobs, but it's more like people just need to know and be like, see that that people have done it and are doing it, and there's no shame in it.
Right.
Sure enough. There's other paths and other journeys, and we're all on a different timeline. And
no one's better than
right.
No one's better than one another, and that's going to be, in people's minds. But I feel like if we can have a society where we treat each other well and respect one another, I don't know. I mean, what can the world be? It's a big idea. I don't know. We'll see.
It is a big idea.
Although when you do have somebody sit here talking about day trading at 8 years old, it does make you feel a little bit slow.
Yeah, I know. It makes you feel slow.
A little slow.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about before how I felt like my international business degree was totally like a part of a sham. There's a lot of people that are taking these next steps to go to college, and then they after spending sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars for this piece of paper, they look at like, okay, now what do I get? And I know in my mind, I thought the red carpet was going to be rolled out. I had a 3.67 GPA, and I had done an internship at Cable and Wireless in London. And I thought like, oh, this will be easy to get like, an $8,000 a year, entry level position. And that's kind of the thing that was sold, but that didn't exist. I came back to Maine and I looked through the newspapers, and I didn't find anybody that was looking for an international business degree. And, my parents didn't have degrees. So they didn't give me proper guidance. And so, it's like, and then in the meantime, here we are in the BNI chapter. We can't find an electrician that has time on their schedule to come network at a networking group where we have so much business to give an electrician. Yes. And it's because there's not enough people going into the trade. So you've got all these people that are being led astray, like I was, to thinking that this 4-year investment and all this money is going to get you the lifestyle that you expect. Yeah. And no one's going into the trades. Right. So because of maybe, a feeling that somehow one path is better than the other. Right. I mean, something like No Alumni, I think would be it's kind of it's showing people that there is certainly no shame in not going to school. And if anything, there should be a camaraderie amongst people that, like you, who have accomplished all this success without needing to waste 4 years. You know what I mean? Right. Now, it's good for some people. Like my girls are going to school. Both of them, they need that particular degree to pursue, the career that they're looking for. But there's a lot of people that are just going to school because they think it's a box they're supposed to check.
Right.
I love it. I think you can make a big change, and hopefully you'll bring some trades back into.
Yeah, I think it's trades. I think it's trades. It's not just trades. I think because people can go work at an insurance agent's office and start at a basic job and get really good at learning about insurance, and then sell insurance, and maybe have your own place someday.
Yeah,
Your own
real
business.
estate.
Yeah, you don't.
There
are
there's
so
all kinds
many
of things
different
you can
paths.
do without a degree.
So I think we're just they don't get talked about a lot. So I think people get stuck. I got to go to college, and then I'm going to get a job. A lot of times it's a job I could have gotten without that degree.
Ambition and perseverance amazingly will take somebody a long way. 100%. And I think that's what you show that in your journey. And that's something I'd be very proud of.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's people you meet. You meet great people.
And I've met some great people in the BNI True North.
True North Networkers. We'll provide a link. Yeah. And we need an electrician. So,
that'd be good. That'd be a
good
sport,
electrician, right? Yeah.
For sure.
So, well, thank you. We really love your story, and we hope our listeners are as inspired about your story as we are. Don't forget to tune in for more interviews with local professionals as we continue to discuss initial failures that eventually contributed to triumph in the world of business. If you enjoyed today's episode, and we hope you did, please subscribe. Yeah. And leave us a review to help us reach even more listeners. Until next time, remember, every train wreck can be a stepping stone to something extraordinary. So thanks for joining us on the Cleveland Burning Podcast.
See you next time.